I had a prof at one of my wine classes once that told me that Chardonnay without oak is like sex without the orgasm. Not a complete waste of time, but not exactly what you're going for. And I thought that was so funny. Oh, cheers.
Cheers.
Budding sommeliers. I'm Stephie and welcome to Stephie's Wine Club. Today I have the beautiful, the magnificent, the Adonis, Andrew Schneider.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm not sure that was like enough to justify.
I know. It's hard to sum you up in 3 words. So Andrew is my best friend and we also lived together for what, like
3 years?
3 years plus next door neighbors for a year.
No, we lived together for 4 years.
4 years.
Doesn't feel like that long.
And he is newly getting into wine, sort of just starting his wine journey. So I thought I would invite him over. We try a couple of lovely Chardonnays and go over a little bit about the grape, but also a little bit about these 2 styles that we're going to taste today. I guess the first thing I wanted to ask you was like, when did you start drinking wine?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't remember my first glass of wine ever. But I do know that within like the last year or 2, I really started to be more discerning with my wine choices. Like when we were in first year of university, we always drank that, what was it, Barefoot Moscato?
Yes.
So basically since then.
Cool,
yeah.
Cool. And why have you started getting more into wine like now?
Again, I just feel like as I've had a lot more of those like very basic baseline light wines that are very easy to drink, which I still like, I'm starting to get more interested in the more like complex flavors that you can have. I've had a few Chardonnays that I really like before. Yeah, I'm just really interested in like learning more and like developing my like taste when it comes to wine.
Perfect. Well, I'm super excited to get you into some Chardonnays. But what kind of wine do you usually choose right now when you go into the store, and like what do you like about it?
Yeah. So, I mean, my favorite wine at the moment, you know, because you introduced it to me, it's a relaxed Riesling.
Yes, a great easy drinking wine.
Yeah, and that's basically why I choose it. It's very easy to drink.
Yeah.
It goes down really smoothly. I don't feel like I'm drinking wine, which is a pro for me. For some people, I feel like that's a con, like they want more of that complexity.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's just a very easy drinking wine. Since
I know a little bit about you and your wine taste, and I know you sometimes go for the more sweeter wines, I thought that you would probably appreciate a wine with some body. And I think a big mistake that people make when they first go into wine is thinking, oh, I like something sweet. My next step is I'll try something really light and fruity and no body at all, like a Pinot Grigio. But I think what some people find they're missing in that is the body. And with Chardonnay, it's the alcohol giving the body, not the sweetness. Chardonnay is quite a high alcohol grape for white wine. But I think that mouthfeel is really what a lot of people enjoy about a sweeter wine, but don't realize they enjoy about it.
Right. How do they group sweetness and alcohol content into the same like metric? Right, like full body, it encompasses both of those things.
Yeah.
Like, why aren't they separated out into 2 like measurements, distinct of them? Like
they are separated into 2 measurements, being residual sugar and alcohol by volume (ABV). So you do see the alcohol percentage on the bottle, and if you were to look at the winemaker's notes, you would also be able to find the residual sugar. But when it's in your mouth and when it's viscosity, you know how like when you add sugar to water it becomes syrupy? Well, alcohol is also more viscous than water. So what happens is both of those things affect the viscosity. So when we talk about body, that's the feeling of viscosity in your mouth and the feeling on the glass with the legs like we talked about. So they get grouped together because they have the same sort of symptoms.
Oh, okay.
Before we get down to the tasting, we're just going to go over a little bit about what Chardonnay is. So Chardonnay is a varietal of grape that we use to make wine. Obviously, it's one of the 1,300, I keep saying that fact, but it's really crazy how many types of wine there are. But it's a very, very popular one. It's grown in pretty much every wine region in the world. It was discovered in Burgundy, France, a really long time ago, and it's been used in winemaking and really important blends like in champagne forever. So it's a really important grape to get to know because you're going to find it in a lot of stuff you taste, especially if you're like French wines. It's a medium body, so it has quite a bit of alcohol but no sweetness, so it doesn't get any body from the sugar, so that's why it's medium body. It has quite a crisp taste, But we also very often oak it, especially if we're doing an American style, which can be very oaky. And that oakiness will bring a lot of vanilla or creaminess or butterscotch sort of notes to it. So that makes Chardonnay a really, really versatile style because we can drink it really, really crisp paired with fish, or you can drink it really, really creamy paired with cheese and everything in between. And it just makes for a really, really well-rounded wine. Okay, so now we're gonna get to the tasting, the part that Andrew is very excited for.
Yes.
So today, to illustrate the differences in the wide variety of styles with Chardonnay, I've selected two 2016 California Chardonnays, but made in two very different styles. So this one, the Joel got, is unoaked, which is not typical of a California Chardonnay. That's much more typical in Europe. But this vineyard decided to make an unoaked style, so we're very excited to try it. And then this is the Bruticau Bliss Vineyard. It's an estate blend, so that means it was all bottled, grown, produced on the same estate. But this one is oaked, and it's not actually American oaked like a lot of American wines are. It's using French oak, so it's still going to be sort of a medium oaked style. It's not going to be crazy oaky, but I think they're going to be different enough for us to really be able to talk about the differences between them. We're going to start off with a little blind tasting. So he doesn't know which of these two glasses is the unoaked and which is the oaked, but I know because I'm the puppet master.
And is this as if I'm ever going to be able to tell the difference?
You absolutely are. I'm telling you, have faith in yourself.
All right.
I think you're going to be able to. So, the first thing we look at, of course, is using our sights.
Mm-hmm.
So, when we look at these two, do you notice any difference in color?
Purely in color? This one might be like a slightly cooler color. Like this
Okay.
one's warmer to me.
Yeah, that's great. So this one's going to be a little more golden. They're both quite like medium light, I would say. But if you notice in this one, we have a little bit of effervescence, a little bit of bubbles.
Yes.
Right? And so that can happen through the fermentation process when a little bit of carbon dioxide gets thrown in there. It's not sparkling. You can see that the bubbles don't rise up and pop like they would in champagne or prosecco or something. But it is interesting to notice it, and sometimes it can suggest a sweeter style or a fuller bodied style like a Moscato or a Chardonnay. So it's always good to notice those subtle things. The second thing we're going to pay attention to is smell.
Right.
So we're going to start you off with this one, and I just want you to give it a little swirl, right? Delicate swirl, and then just kind of stick your nose in the glass and see what you smell.
All I smell is alcohol.
That's so common. So when you first start smelling wine, if all you smell is alcohol, that's totally, totally normal. That's what I like about side-by-side comparisons, especially for beginners, is you smell alcohol at first and you can't get past the alcohol, but then you smell the other one and you realize, oh, that's what's the alcohol and that's what's different about it. And it really helps you pick out the different tastes and the different aromas. So we'll get you to smell that one.
This one's more, I don't know how smell could be like damp. But like, it smells more damp to me.
That's totally something that can happen.
Okay,
yeah.
that's a thing?
Yeah, it totally is. It is different.
Like a damp sweetness.
Okay, and then maybe smell that one again just to see if you can pick up on anything else now that you've smelled.
This is stressful.
No, it really shouldn't be stressful. It's just like getting your sort of brain to start making the connection.
Okay, actually, so, and again, I don't know how this could be a smell, but to me this one's like brighter.
Yeah, that's totally a thing.
That one's like damp and this one's like bright.
Yeah.
The way that it smells to me.
Yeah, that's a really, really good thing to notice. Which one do you think is the oaked one? The first one or the second one? Yeah, oaked.
This one.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
So the one that smells like a little more muted, a little smoother, a little sweeter, that's because of the oak, and that's going to give it those sort of warm spice, vanilla, caramely, toasty sort of notes. As opposed to this one, it's not going to have its acidity dampened at all by oak, so it's going to smell and taste very bright, and when we think bright, that's the acidity.
So what's funny about that is when I was thinking about which one might be from the oak, this one smelled more like the inside of a barrel to me.
Yeah, it totally does.
And that's all I went off of.
It should taste a little bit like the inside of a barrel.
Yeah.
Alright, so now I'm going to get you to taste them.
Okay.
So we're going to do the unoaked first, and then I think the oaked one will really stand out to you, the difference.
So unoaked first. So again, I have no frame of reference here. I don't know what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
I'm feeling it more in like the corner of my mouth.
Okay.
I'm trying to think about like where I'm feeling it. So I'm feeling it at like the sides of my tongue.
And the reason you're feeling it on the sides of your tongue is because it's very bright acidity. And when you taste acidity, your mouth starts to water, and that's where your salivary glands are. So your glands start producing a lot of saliva, and you get that sensation in the corners.
And I would definitely describe it as crisp.
Yeah, that's really good. That's how a lot of sommeliers would describe an unoaked Chardonnay. It's very crisp, very bright. So basically, you're on your way to stealing my job.
Oh, I'm already
Okay, and now I'm gonna get you to taste the oak, and I think this is what's really gonna hammer in the difference for you.
I think this is gonna blow me away.
Yeah. It should.
Yeah, so I feel like I'm feeling it more in the center of my tongue than the outsides of it.
And what are you feeling? Like texture-wise?
Yeah.
Anything specific?
Texture-wise. So I don't have a very good frame of reference for what that means.
Okay, so what we're going for with an oak Chardonnay is the texture, and maybe why you're feeling it a bit more in the center of your mouth, is going to be a fuller, rounder texture. And it's going to feel a little bit creamier, buttery.
Yeah,
so
I would agree with that.
So it's going to be feel a bit thicker.
I never would have come to that on my own. But
I know. It's something you learn
that.
about oak. Like, it's not something I would have picked up on my own until someone said it to me. But when you're first starting to taste, it's not about getting the right tastes or the right flavors or finding everything that it says on the tasting notes on the label. It's really about starting to cement those pathways in your brain that connect like what you're tasting and a name of it. Like we all know exactly what a pineapple tastes like, what a mango tastes like, because when we're eating a mango, we know that's what a mango tastes like. But when we have a glass of wine, we don't have a mango or a pineapple or a vanilla spice sitting in front of us to tell us that's what it is. So you really do kind of have to learn a new language of linking what you're tasting and what your senses are telling you and the names of those flavors and aromas in your brain.
I'm also feeling maybe this is just alcohol, but I feel more of like a warm aftertaste.
So that could be from the alcohol. This one is a bit higher alcohol, but it can also be from that sort of vanilla, warm spice, allspice, sort of like fall spice you can get from oak. And this one for me, when I taste it, is very caramelly. And I do associate caramel with a certain like warmth and a certain spice and a certain time of year even. And that's the beautiful thing about wine is like you can find stuff in it that evokes a feeling for you or a sensation that is totally separate from the physicality of the wine as well. So that's why wine's super cool. So now that my lovely assistant Andrew has helped us out with all of his insights, I'm also just gonna give a little bit sum up of the tasting notes I got from the two wines and sort of what I think the main differences between the two styles are. So like I said, it's the same grape, it's from the same wine region, both from California. They're both 2016, so the only real difference is that, well, they're different wineries, which can make a slight difference, but the real difference is oaked versus unoaked, and that's a huge difference when it comes to Chardonnay. So, first I'm gonna give my little unoaked Chardonnay a taste. Okay, so the first thing that hits me about this wine is pineapple. It tastes so much like candied pineapple to me that it's just like the first thing that makes sort of like an indent in my brain. And then I sort of get a little bit of like lemon, maybe lemon curd, something sweet and citrusy. I get a little bit of floral, I get a little bit of minerality. I definitely get that bright acidity we were talking about earlier. And that's what's really gonna set this style apart is the brightness of it. So Chardonnay, when it's unoaked, has very crisp fruit flavors, sometimes tropical, sometimes more citrusy or more unripe sort of fruit flavors. And as you oak it and let it mature in oak, it's going to become a lot smoother, a lot more tropical, a lot sweeter, and not so acidic. That is the unoaked Chardonnay to sum up. Do you want to take another sip and see if you taste any of it? And if you don't, that's totally fine.
Actually, so I do have a question before I taste it. So I noticed that when you took a sip, like what did you do with it in your mouth?
So I just give it a nice subtle swish around. It doesn't have to be like anything crazy.
I'm not gargling it.
I made a very weird face last video. I'm not gonna do it again. But it doesn't do anything crazy, just so it touches all corners of your mouth, just in case those scientists are right and everything tastes different at different parts of your mouth. It just lets your whole mouth be immersed.
Right, okay. I don't know if I get the same thing as you, and I mean, that probably comes from a lot more experience.
It also just comes from different palates. Like, different things taste different to different people, and honestly, as long as you know what you like, you're set. Now I'm gonna do a couple notes on the oaked one. Immediately, I get that like caramel, toasty. It smells like French toast to me. So on my palate, it tastes very much like Bananas Foster. It tastes very much like banana and caramel, and the finish is very caramely, very creamy. It lasts for a long time, which really impresses me, because sometimes oak, if it's not good quality oak or it's not oak used well, it can sometimes cut in and out or seem very surface level. But to me, the mark of a really nice oak Chardonnay is when the oak carries on and lasts and becomes like a very defining characteristic, not just a flavor they threw on top. So now that you've had a chance to taste both of them and hear a little bit about the two styles, which one do you think you like better?
So I do genuinely like both of these.
Yeah.
I would say if I had to pick one, I think I like the like crisper taste of the unoaked one a bit more than sort of the dampened taste that you described coming from like the oaking process.
That makes a lot of sense to me, especially coming in with your sort of penchant for Riesling and Mosel style Riesling that's like a little bit sweet but very, very crisp and acidic. I thought you might like the acidic one better because it still has that body that you get with the Riesling, but instead of being sweet, it's very, very crisp. Do you think you'll explore Chardonnay more in the future? Yeah,
for sure. Like in my mind, this is something where like I'm gonna go through stages of development. It's sort of like I don't drink coffee anymore, but when I used to drink coffee, I spent a lot of time just getting used to the taste, like the baseline taste of coffee. And then eventually I started enjoying it more sort of on its own and sort of the intricacies between different types of coffee. And I feel like it's a similar thing here. Like as I drink more and more wine, my like taste is gonna evolve a bit more, and I can definitely see myself liking this a lot more in the future than I do now with my more sort of like less developed taste.
That definitely is a thing that as you drink more wine, your tastes really do develop because you start to enjoy more being able to take apart wines once you have the sort of skill set there to be able to analyze them really well. And doing side-by-side comparisons like this can be a really, really good way to get started, even if it's between two completely different grapes, even if it's between a red and a white because you just don't know what you like. These side-by-side comparisons can really help you taste past the alcohol and taste past that initial wine flavor to get to the root of why people are enjoying these wines.
Yeah, I will attest to that, right? Because when you handed me this one at first, all I could smell was just alcohol. But as soon as I had something to contrast it with, then the alcohol became the thing that was similar between them. So I had a frame of reference for what was different.
Totally.
Yeah.
And if any of you want to try this little Chardonnay test at home, I will have the links to both bottles down in the description, but any unoaked and oaked style that you want to compare is going to do a great job as long as it's a fairly representative Chardonnay of the style you're looking for. And if you want to do food pairings, Andrew's a vegan, so I didn't make him do any cheese pairings or anything, but the unoaked I would try with a softer cheese, maybe a goat cheese, and the oaked one I'd try with a harder cheese and a saltier cheese, something like cheddar, and just see how the food changes the wine because that can be a really cool experiment too. Thank you so much. I'm Stephie. This has been my wonderful co-host, Andrew Schneider. Thank you so much for coming, and as my people say, skål.
Well, can we switch?
Oh,
That
yeah.
was my favorite.
This one's my favorite. Okay, ready? Skål.